Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning news on AUTV. Today is Tuesday, 3rd March 2026. I am Samira Franklin. Coming up with the headlines. Ayawase East by-election, police vows to deal with the troublemakers as it deploys personnel. President Mahama meets Tanzania President Suluhu Hassan. Government aims to aid private nursing training colleges to ease burden on public ones. Tinyani to Techiman Highway describes as a death trap with residents demanding immediate repair. News in details. The Accra Regional Police Commander has assured the public of its full preparedness to provide adequate security before, during, and after the parliamentary rerun election in Ayawase East constituency scheduled for the Tuesday, March 2026. Third, in a press release on March 2nd, the command stated that it has deployed sufficient police personnel across all designated polling stations and key locations within the constituencies to ensure a peaceful, transparent, and orderly electoral process. The commander has deployed adequate police personnel across all designated polling stations and key locations to ensure a peaceful, transparent, and orderly electoral process. The statement signed by Juliana Obin, Head of Public Affairs of the Accra region, read in part. The police assured the public that they would maintain a visible presence and conduct patrols before, during, and after the elections to prevent any act that may disrupt public peace and security. The Accra Regional Police Commander cautioned the public against engaging in any act that could undermine the integrity of the electoral process. The Accra Regional Police Commander cautions public against engaging in acts of violence, intimidation, spreading misinformation, or any conduct that may undermine the integrity of the electoral process, the statement warned. It added that persons found to have violated the law would be dealt with in accordance in Ghanaian law. Signaled the command's commitment to enforcing the rules without fear or favor. The police commander also urged all eligible voters in the constituency to exercise their civic responsibility, peaceful, and to report any suspicious activities to the security agencies. The Ministry of the Interior has reminded the general public that Friday, March 6, 2026, marks the Independence Day and is to be observed as a statutory public holiday throughout the country. In a notice posted on its official Facebook page on Monday, March 2nd, the ministry stated that the day should be recognized and observed as such across all regions in accordance with the national law governing public holidays. The general public is hereby informed that Friday, March 6 marks Independence Day, which is statutory public holiday and should be observed as such throughout the country. The Independence Day commemorates Ghana's historic attainment of self-rule from British colonial administration on 6 March 1957. The day is traditionally marked by national parade, ceremonial events, and reflections on country's democratic journey and socio-economic progress. The government is being urged to throw some support behind private health colleges, enabling them to take in more students and ease the burden on public health institutions. Private nursing training colleges are crucial in training healthcare professionals, but financial struggles limited their infrastructure development, restricting their capacity to enroll more students. Dr. Derek Adumensa, a senior clinic medical research scientist, the head of the Department of Health and Allied Sciences at the Royal College of Health, emphasized that collaborations between the government and private institutions is key for improving healthcare delivery in Ghana. He made the disclosure at the college's 21st matriculation ceremony held in Abuakwa Menchia in the Atuma Nwobiaji municipality. This year's event themed quality healthcare, a prerequisite of quality training of healthcare practitioners, also marked a milestone as the institution matriculated its largest intake of students in history. Speaking on the media, Dr. Derek Adumensa noted that numerous nursing training colleges originally established as private entities have transitioned to public or government-assisted institutions, significantly contributed to the growth of skilled healthcare professionals in the country. He urged the new students to take their oath seriously, uphold the college's core values of excellence, integrity, innovations, services, and care, and strive for distinction in all they do. She pointed out that many students in private health institutions struggle to pay fees, which often leads to dropouts. She suggested the government policies supporting public institutions should be extended to benefit private institutions students as well, to prevent private schools from collapsing. That was what Ms. Esther Ade Frimpong, the SRC president, appealed to the government to reintroduce policy that will alleviate the financial burden on students in private nursing training colleges. President John Dramani Mahama paid a courtesy call on Tanzania President Samira Suluhu Hassan at the State House in Arusha on Monday, 2nd, 2026 for high-level bilateral talks aimed at strengthening the long-standing ties between Ghana and Tanzania. The meeting provided an opportunity for the two leaders to discuss areas of mutual interest, including trade, cultural exchange, the regional cooperation within the African Union framework. President Mahama was officially welcomed to the State House, where he held a closed-door session with President Suluhu Hassan, followed by engagement with their respective delegations. President John Dramani Mahama has issued a passionate appeal for the cessation of hostilities in the Middle East, urging the warring parties, the United States, Israel, and Iran, to return to dialogue as the escalating conflict threatens to inflict economic pain on the African nations. Speaking during the bilateral meeting with the Tanzania President Samira Suluhu Hassan at the State House in Arusha on Monday, 2nd, 2026, Mahama expressed deep concern over the intensifying military exchanges and counter-attacks reckoning the Gulf region. He warned that continual fighting could have dire consequences for Africa, which remains heavily dependent on the Middle East for its oil supplies. He described the Middle East as the epicenter of global oil supplies and cautioned that African economies must prepare for inevitable shocks as crude prices soar. Recent attacks and retaliatory strikes have already pushed global crude prices past $91 per barrel, a spike that directly impacts net importing nations like Ghana. President Mahama warned that when crude prices rise beyond a certain threshold, the negative effect rippled throughout African economies, inflating transportation costs, increasing prices of cocoa, and squeezing household budgets. The president called for dialogue, reflecting growing anxiety among African leaders who find themselves caught in the crossfire of a geopolitical crisis not of their making. The appeal comes as global attention remains fixed on the Middle East, where tension continues to escalate with no immediate end in sight. The Ministry of the Interior has released funds to settle outstanding rent allowances arrears owed to personnel of the Ghana Prison Services, Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Immigration Service of the 2025 financial year. The payment covers all eligible officers across the 3 security services who were affected by the delay. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Public Affairs and Communications Unit, the government expressed appreciation of the affected personnel for their patience and understanding during the period of allowances remained outstanding. The ministry also announced a major reform in the payment system to prevent future delays. Being March 2026, rent allowances payment will be mechanized and processed alongside officers' monthly salaries. The ministry reaffirmed its commitment to the welfare of officers under its supervision and assured that it will continue to work with the Ministry of Finance and other relevant stakeholders to ensure all entitlements are paid promptly. Sunyani Techiman Highway residents and drivers have endured for over years severely degraded roads that causes high vehicle maintenance costs, dust pollutions, and restricted access to goods. Techiman in the Bunu East region capital, described as the death trap, with residents demanding immediate official intervention to repair critical potholes ridden roads. Reported from the AU News.
From African Union Television. So I was on for your Pia Bontain, say your friend saying Techiman Bunu East Capital Roda F Ufri Sunyani Eko Techiman, and I say Ufri Techiman Oko Sunyani in between a high court no in front anymore. Road na asay kra, road na asay apansam. Enti yatiasim say the live coverage no abebremo na one who said your kwan no esitie. The situation na kwan no was to say drivers so no any passengers ni so because Ufri Techiman Chrome na call we are your friend say enkwanta anafi Kemia any the other communities are omo road no so to yes nwan anafi entering to Techiman no absan for kwan na say kra say ohwe de ohwe wo screen ani a obitumi ho say kwan ni nyina tutu enti say okada ne cars ne na kwan so no say omo de niam na say passengers ne rua Techiman kro no mo a otimi say kwan ni nyina say nimpa na bedru ntem eya asempa even a single motor kra no e find it difficult say obanya no road atimi akọ even kwan we so car kese e fa so
yeah my idea ze kase kemo no krepa emze president wanya do be ko Rollins abe kwan we ye de ye nya kwan hwebie mu said it you know sa from that time we be seen no sa na tie ye nya ho hwebie I am titemun sa and so titemu mo na sa tutu saa na ɛkɔ so me fa wo kada mfa so koraa ɛboro mfie no 5 years yɛsrɛ paa ɛne die kwan so sɛ nka abɛntwene ne bɛhwɛ kakra because ɛkwan deɛ no kwasɛm ni ɛnyɛ kurom ha nko a ɛfiri ha ɛkɔ akɔsi sunwa no nyinaa no ɛm sɛ kwan no nyɛ koraa na ntetire yɛn ha kakra yi a ɛgya yɛdi yɛ paa kakra kakra yi deɛ ana kwasɛm sɛ ɛmmoa yɛn koraa ɛnnɛ adeɛ bɛkye fitam da bia sɛ yɛkɔ bɛɛni bɛren cap nneɛma bebree ɛsɛsɛ saa ɛsan kwan yi nti na me deɛ na emu koraa ne sɛ na me kɔ adabɔ yɛn ho ba fi sɛ yɛ dɔgye kɔ ha ne yɛ dɔgye ba kwan baako na obi apɛ sɛ ɔmfa so ti nyame kɔ adabɔ yɛn ho afofi ama da bia yɛnya accident akɛseɛ ɔdɔ obi si deɛ nanso no nyame ɛyɛ adom bebree fi sɛ ɛkwan no wɔyɛ kwan korɔ no abafo yɛ no hɔ na obi apɛ sɛ ɔmfa ti yɛkyim kɔ ha ne yɛkyim ba ha saa ɛna ɛdenam so nti aban mɛkɔ yɛ mmoa na sɛbisɛ biribi bɔne kɛseɛ bi aburo so abisi ɛba no saa saa berɛ no yɛtutu anamɔ tumi ka sɛ yɛbɛyɛ a mesi sɛ mfa so obiara ni so because ebia na akra bi ahwere nkwa neɛ mɛsra ban no sɛ nka ɔnyɛ ma yɛ no
aw kwan wei deɛ wɔlae kwan wei deɛ in fact ɛha yɛ paa aban no baa wɔayɛ nnwoma bebree ba yɛsrɛ no kwan wei no deɛ wɔ sɛ ɔbɛyɛ ma yɛsrɛ na ɛyɛ adesrɛdeɛ yɛde tu n'anim yɛsrɛ no aw sɛ aban no deɛ ɔno a ɔnyim ɔboa yɛ adwuma no bɛkɔ so yɛ so yɛbɛtumi ayɛ biribi aboa aban no
sɛ bia ɔmo de taxi bi bɛsɛ mu ntua na ɔmo nyɛ mfa nya a wɔbɛtua
aw yɛbɛtua
sɛ bɛyɛ ne bɛboa nkwa deɛ a yɛbɛtua
sɛ kwan no deɛ ɔmo yɛ bɛboa nti yɛbɛtua
yɛakyɛ
Ah, me keep again na che. Me prag signboard for the tago. What touch man about tago? When I'm your car driver, me prag and when you tago.
ɔmo su paa mo sɛ kwan no nyɛ ɛdɛn na mopɛ sɛ aban no yɛ
Oh, aban de oboyo e kwa we so akabe de pa bosunya kwa we ne de. Enye de bia o doje o ba driver ni o doje na o hia yonko aye doje ne hia me sa obetina dima ya na o se kan accident nko a eni se aban etimi tu anamon be kwa we maya ebe ye de papa ebe ye de rough e che se what school fees be 60 billion amanipa se kwa we nko na Ghana ba etimi ye kwa we maya yani beje papa because ada wache aban bi aba no amu ba no abehye bo bi a emfa bi ama ha nti o se o mba mu hyebo a o mba mu timi adi so na o ma ye adwuma no se de se emehye bo a ba utimi ni so kwan we ada wache papa etutu sa mba no apati no sala biara sa o si sia na tutu na accident nko a ko police station accident a e wo nyina e kwan we so accident wo doja no de hye ni nyankran na oda ho isa man timi ye ma e bebo aye
na obi ka sɛ kwan na since road expense wɔ no korɛ
o kwan de se ya che kwan se aban bako aban atwa ba.
That was it from the reporter from the AU News. Here comes the end of the morning news. Headline recaps. Ayawaso East by election. Police vows to deal with troublemakers as it deployed personnel. President Mahama met Tanzania President Suluhu Hassan. Government aims to aid private nursing training colleges to ease burden on public ones. Binyani to Techiman Highway describes as death trap with residents demanding immediate repair. I am Samira Franklin. Up next, sports segments. Good morning.